Hey guys! Wow. Good morning. Yeah, good morning. It's like 3:30 in the morning. I went to bed and early, uh, about 10 o'clock, if you want to call that early, last night. I've been on a diet. I've been on a diet for the last year and a half. You guys know that. But I've been off of my diet for the last 2 weeks. Yeah. So I'm kick-starting it back on track. I'm trying to get rid of all this fat around my kidneys, my liver, my inner core. And so I'm kick-starting it with a fast. It's not a religious fast, so I can talk about it. And I woke up dreaming about sauerkraut. Yes, it is New Year's Eve. Yes, the time of year for you to do your canning and to pick your canning projects is around the times of year whenever certain foods go on sale and are cheaper and are in season. So, that being said, I was like looking for some inspiration, and I couldn't have found better inspiration when I opened up my Bible this morning to get my daily message. The hand of God pushed me over to Joshua chapter 1, and it's hard for me to read, to focus in this light. And I believe that's verse 6. Be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their forefathers to give to them. Wow, we could not have asked for a better scripture. Because today, I want to talk to you about canning. Okay, sauerkraut is not my forte. I love sauerkraut. But I didn't start liking this stuff until about 10 years ago. And about 1 or 2 cans of it will get me through a year. And I'll open up a can and put it in a jar, cap it off, put it in the refrigerator, keep it refrigerated for I don't know, a month or so, and it'll pretty much get eaten. But I don't mind dumping it out in the garbage. It's okay. It's just sauerkraut. I may be German. I got paint on my pants. Hey, y'all like my socks? Ain't they cool? Hey, Dr. Pepper socks. My son got them for me for Christmas. He knows how cold my feet stay. I got bad circulation problems in my feet. Hopefully someday I'll be able to walk to my deer stand again. So, sauerkraut. This. We're not going to do any cooking today. But what I am going to do is I'm going to talk about some stuff, because we're going to get prepared for making sauerkraut. I still got to go to the store and buy some cabbage. It hit me 3 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of the night. I'm sleeping, and it hits me at 3 o'clock in the morning. I want some sauerkraut. I'm starving to death. It's been 2.5 days since I've had anything to eat. I hadn't even made, I've made the 48-hour mark. So 48 and 12 is what? 60 hours. So I'm working on 60 hours of no food. I've had some apple cider vinegar, some lemon juice, and some non-sugar tea and water for the last 2.5 days. I've got 12 hours left to make. If I can make 5 o'clock this afternoon, that'll put me at 72 hours. And to me, that's going to be the greatest accomplishment ever because, well, I mean, I have gone 3 days without eating before, but that was because, well, I didn't have any food. Yeah, there was a time whenever, I didn't have any food, and but my pantries are completely stocked, and I had food then too, but I didn't want to eat it. It was like, mass confusion. Let's just say that it was mass confusion. There's been days where I've gone 3 days without eating. Yeah, and it's very hard on you. It really is. But there's things that you can do to get by. Sleep and prayer and inner strength. That's all it is. Okay, so we're gonna get off that. I'm done with that. So here we are with sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is not my forte. I've made sauerkraut one time and it did not turn out. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why it didn't turn out. Because whenever I put this stuff in the jar to ferment, I used I thought I was doing it properly. I used a glass jar, and I used an old time recipe, and it should have been right. It really should have been right. But somehow or another, and I can't remember because it's been 10 years or more ago, and it was before I ever started my channel or anything, and I ever started recording any videos or anything like that. I was just following along other people's stuff. And I think I went online and I found a recipe that these people were making over in Poland. I mean, they were making it the old way, and that's me. I like the old way. But, and I crammed my jar, and I packed it with salt, and then I poured the water to it, and I think my jar might have been colored. Anyway, whenever I got done, I never really paid much attention to it because you shove it in the corner in the dark and you forget about it. Now, how in the world this happened, I don't know. But I pulled this stuff out 4 to 6 weeks later, and I get ready to start jarring it up, and I want to sample it. I want to sample it. I done went to the store, bought me some bratwurst and all this good stuff, and I want to sample it. And I get it on the cabinet, and luckily I was wide awake. I wasn't half sleepy, I wasn't tired, and I went to looking at this stuff, and I'm like, wow, it's moving. It's moving. Somehow or another, some flies had got to my cabbage. I don't know. There was literally, I don't know where it went wrong. Either I didn't have my salinity level right. Something happened. Let's just say something happened. And I had fly larvae in there, and they were working their way up the juice. And I had it covered with about, 4 inches of juice. They were 4 inches. And everything was weighted down. I had done everything the way they said to do it. The only thing that I didn't do is I didn't have any kind of fancy lids or anything like that to hold stuff down, but I did things the way that they told to do it in that video, and I'm not going to call them out or anything, but it was an old world video, and so I took that whole jar, everything, and went straight out to the garbage can and threw it in there because I was that close to getting me a big bite of that. In fact, I couldn't guarantee that I didn't take a bite of it. Inspect. You see me when I'm cooking. Every jar that I open, I smell it. first of all, I want to make sure that it's popping, that it's sealed, and then I smell it to make sure it smells like food. If it's got any kind of weird smell to it, it's gone. It's gone. But yeah, yeah, that right there, one time will teach you. That's all you need is once. Okay, so we done touched on that, and then there's people out there, and the next thing I did the first thing I did this morning was like, okay, well, I hadn't made sauerkraut in a long time, and it wasn't successful, so let's do some research. So and lo and behold, there's a lot more information 10 years down the road, 10 to 15 years down the road. It's been a long time. I've been canning for 10 to 15 years, and I'm just now wanting to go back and try sauerkraut again. But there's a lot more information out there now than there was whenever I went out there, because it was like, well, there ain't no canning recipes for sauerkraut. So hell, I went to old world recipes, and I found this recipe. These poor folks are sitting around this cabin, and I'm sure it had a dirt floor, and they were somewhere in Poland or Czechoslovakia or somewhere like that, and they were making sauerkraut. And hats off to them, because they were doing it, and they were doing it right. They had great. It was awesome. It was awesome to watch. It really was. It inspired me enough that I went out and bought like 4 heads of cabbage, and I made me some sauerkraut. Didn't come out, but I made it. Some tips on making on canning stuff that you've never canned before. How do you see it coming from the store? Okay. And this is a question that was raised up to me because I watched a woman's video, and she's trying to make she's trying to make sauerkraut with big old wide pieces of cabbage. Big wide pieces. It's like, ooh, no. You see it come from the store. They got it sliced really, really thin and uniform. That matters, because you don't want to make a mouthful of sauerkraut out of one bite, out of one leaf. That's just no. I don't even want steamed cabbage like it. No. I want my cabbage cut fine. Okay? And that goes for any other vegetables too. Cut it like you see it in the store. If you see it sliced sideways, well, by all means, slice it sideways and can it. If you see it sliced long ways, slice it long ways and can it. If you see it julienne style, do it that way. If you see it cut catty corner, cut it catty corner. But you want it to be, you want it to look as close to being store-bought as what you can, because that's what people are going to judge you by. Whenever people come to visit and you open up or you give somebody something and for them to take home and put in their pantry and for them to use, they're going to look at it. If it's not presentable, they're not even going to try it. Jars with labels. I went out to this girl's, and I just clicked on these sites. A lot of them, you kind of look and see what their thumbnail looks like, And I'm the world's worst. I won't put a good looking thumbnail up there, but I don't want pictures of me up on there as a thumbnail, because I'm not that pretty. I really ain't. I ain't. About half my teeth are messed up, and that's a long story. I could tell you about that, and you would laugh. Why is my teeth like it is? Because it ain't because of crack or anything else like that. It's because, when I was a kid and when I was a young man, I eat lots of candy. And my mom made lots of candy, and my grandma made lots of candy and cookies for me. And you take and add that That's what happened to my jaw teeth. But my front teeth, I got hit in the mouth with a pipe wrench. One time, a 36-inch pipe wrench. Me and my boss was taking apart a 4-inch gas line, and his big fat ass slipped, and he was pushing and I was pulling, and guess who? I ate the pipe wrench. Yeah. Well, it didn't knock my teeth out, but it broke the teeth down below the gum line. It cracked them just enough to where 20 years later they went to kaputs. And now I got gaps in my teeth. I got my grandma's smile. My grandma had a smile just like mine. But anyway, I got to this woman's site, and she was jarring up some sauerkraut. Yeah, I was looking at sauerkraut videos, and she didn't have one of these kind of jars, but she had a jar with a label like that right there, and she was pulling it out of the canner. It was packed full of food and everything, and it had been canned, and it still had the label on it. It was like a mayonnaise jar. I don't discondone that. I don't condone that. But it is very feasible. Yeah. It's very. What's on the outside of that jar don't matter. It don't matter the hill of beans what's on the inside of it. As long as that jar is sterile on the inside, that's all that matters. But I'm going to say this. Whenever you put your jar in that boiling water to sterilize it, and you got that label on there, and I know for a fact them labels will cook off there. I use these things all the time. And like this jar here, I save those lids because you can reuse them. Very much so, and they will seal. I used a ragu jar the other day, but it didn't have a label on it, and it was sterile. But the label, it can cook off and it can get in your water, okay? And that's not a real sterile environment. So you run the chance of contaminating your whole process with just that one jar. You could contaminate every jar in your batch. So make sure that you sterilize your jars to the max. That's number one. I seen a lady, she said that she took her jars and put them in the dishwasher and sterilized them in the dishwasher. And that's perfect. That's perfect. But the next sentence in her paragraph was, then she flips them upside down and puts them in a box and puts them out in the shed to store until she needs to use them again. Whew. Just me picking up this jar by the lid, it's unsterile. I open up a refrigerator, and if I got a spill in the refrigerator, I can see. I can't see them, but in my mind, I can see little germs just running everywhere, just like like ants all over the place. I can see it. I'm a germaphobe. So whenever you hear me talk about my stove being dirty, or you see my stove being dirty, I see that. I see it very well. Yeah. But if I clean my stove the way I wanted to, and the way I think that I should, it wouldn't have no paint left on it. I'm telling you. It wouldn't have no paint left on it. I'd be cleaning it with kerosene. So I mean, there's a place for phobias, and there's a place for good, honest habits. Pulling it out of the washing machine, out of the dishwasher, sterile. Pulling that jar out of the dishwasher, sterile. and putting it in a jar, in a box. Even if you got it upside down to keep the dust out of it, which is perfect. That's just how I store mine. Okay, and yes, I store my tire in the garage. But the minute that I get ready to do a canning project, the very first thing I do, I'm sorry if I'm yelling, I don't mean to be yelling. The very first thing I do is I bring those jars in and I rinse them. I make sure that they don't have any discoloration, any chips around them, any cracks in them. And I get my bottle brush and I get the hottest water that I can stand with my hands, and I scrub those jars on the inside, the outside. I make sure that the lids the rims are clean. I make sure that the threads are clean. It's very important. Then I rinse them. Then I stick them in the top of the dishwasher. And then I run them through the heavy hot water cycle with soap and the heated dry. Now I use soap. I still use the soap. Dishwashing soap. Cascade. Yeah. Cascade pods. And I let it run through there. And then that'll be the night before. Then whenever they're done, I pull them out and I inspect each one of them. Then I put them right back in the dishwasher. The next morning, whenever I get up I will set me a timer. My dishwasher has a timer. I will set the timer so that dishwasher will go off in the middle of the night, because it takes, on the heavy heat cycle wash and the heated dry, it takes about 2 hours, 2.5 hours for them to wash. It really does. It takes forever. And all that time they're in there with scalding water and they're getting clean. But the next morning when I wake up, and I usually know about what time I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be ready to start canning. Usually, if I'm going to start canning, it's going to be about 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I'm going to start my canning about 7 o'clock in the morning. That gives me between 5:30 to 7 to get myself woke up and get everything together. So by the time 7 o'clock in the morning comes along, those jars are completely done. Yet, you can open that dishwasher at any moment during that time and get your sterile jars out, because they are sterile. Now, that water is not boiling, but that steam coming out of there is hot enough to be sterile. It's almost like an autoclave. If you know anything about sterilization, you know about autoclaves, then you know what I'm talking about. It's coming out of there, and then you can can with it. There's lots of people out there that are doing home canning, and you might include me in that. I've been canning for over 15 years, since 2009. I started doing my canning back then, and I started canning about 15 years ago, and there was already a lot of people out there putting out content, and after a while, the only reason I go out to look at content is whenever I can't find the directions in the ball canning books. And the ball canning books, you can go on eBay and you can find the old ones, and they've got really good recipes in it. I've got 2 or 3 different ball canning books. I've got the one that came with my canner, the very first one that I got, and I've got 2 other ones that I bought off of eBay, and they were kind of pricey way back then. And then I had a lady give me one, and she's like, "You're into canning?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I love to can." And she's like, well, let me give you what I've got from way back. And this was like a 1970s model book. Yeah. And it has some real interesting recipes, stuff that you won't find today. And there's a lot of stuff out there that USDA doesn't approve of anymore. And basically it's because they haven't tested it. If they haven't tested it, then it's not good. Okay? But it very well could be good. It just hasn't been tested by them. If it's been tried and true and tested by you, that's what matters. Like squash, there's stuff out there, and like I said before, whenever I first started looking for a recipe for sauerkraut, there wasn't none out there. Well, today I've got to look, and it's everywhere. So yeah, I'm gonna follow one that I found today, and so just be careful who you trust. And I mean, I like to go out to those old women's, and forgive me, ladies, whenever I say old women's, I'm old. I'm nearly 60 years old, and I consider myself old because in the morning whenever I get up, I'm decrepit. And so the older women that have been doing this forever, housewives, yeah, housewives. If you go to somebody's page and they're 20-somethings and they're canning, I don't know so much about that. That's the kind of stuff that can get you botulism, get you scared to death, get you women using jars with labels on them. Yeah. So, who do you trust? I really hate to give people shout outs. I really do. And because they're not going to give me shout outs. I doubt very seriously if they'd ever give me shout outs. Very, very seriously. But I will say this. There's 3 women out there that I have gone back to their page over the years to get times. I know that they do their processes right and they do their research before they ever come online and start telling this. So I know, in my mind, I know that what they do is right. Now, I don't know these people personally. Sometimes watching YouTube videos and stuff like that, you think you know people personally, but you really don't. So, I'm going to give you 3 names here. And these 3 people, I would trust them. Might say I'm trusting them in my life because, yeah, if I can't find it in the Bald Blue Book, the first thing I'm gonna do is look up their page and find one of their videos, and I'm gonna go in and find their stuff. Now, do I follow their recipes? No, not a lot of times, but the process, yeah, I do. A lot of my recipes are my own taste. I have a very delicate palate. That's how I've been told before. I have a very delicate palate, and I probably should either be making perfume for some French perfume company, or some of the stuff I cook is or most everything I cook is either good or it's bad. And if it's bad, I throw it away and I don't ever tell nobody about it again. And about 90% of my recipes come from here. 50% of them come from here, and the other 50% come from my mother and my grandmother. So, I mean, yeah, they're tried true recipes. So, Linda's Pantry. That's one of the trustworthy ladies that I go to. I think she's up in Colorado. She's a housewife up there, and she takes care of her family real well. She cans everything you could imagine. I think she she looks for new stuff to can, because I mean, and she's just like that. I would love to walk into her pantry and look at her pantry, because it must be, I mean, just stocked with just everything that you could imagine. And I don't. She must have a really large family, and or she gives a lot of stuff away, because as much canning as she does, there is no way that I could ever eat that much. I know for a fact, because I've still got stacks of stuff over here that I canned 5 or 6 years ago that I'm trying to sort out, and some of it's still good, and there's a lot of it that, well, I haven't cleaned the jars out yet because I'm tired of washing jars. All right. Whippoorwill Hollow. That lady right there, she's up in Arkansas, and she just, I realize that we're not far from being the same age, but she just reminds me so much of my grandmother, and not to mention, well, she's not near the age that my grandmother was. My grandmother was 80s and 90s years old whenever I remember her. But the way she talks, the things she talks about, the way she cooks, it reminds me of going to Grandma's house. I mean, it really does. She really saved me last year whenever I was down and out and living in Beverly Hills, and I had no clean clothes. That's a fact. That's a fact. I'm gonna tell her right now. That's a fact, because her clothes washing videos, off-grid clothes washing videos, helped me out tremendously. And I'm gonna show you guys later on this spring, when it starts warming up, how I come up with a deal to wash my clothes, and it's amazing. My clothes have never been cleaner in their life. I just wish I had the time and the energy to wash them like that every week. That's a fact. Cat's Cradle. Cat's Cradle. I don't think I've ever seen, well, yes, I have seen a video of her face to face. I have. But you won't see many of them. She's not a lady for the camera. She doesn't like the camera. But her recipes are spot on. Her recipes are spot on, and her process is spot on. She's good. She's good. Those are the ladies that I went to, and I don't even know if I subscribe to them. I'd probably, well, I don't. I mean, all of my YouTube and watching is on my television, and my phone and my television is not linked together. No, my phone and my TV is not linked together because, well, my TV, it will, my television, it will clear the cache out. I don't know how often it does, but it's always right on time. Works off the Wi-Fi. It's fast. It's clear. It's in large size. I can see, and but that's how I do my YouTubing. Is on television. Now, my phone is not linked to my television, because the only time I use it for YouTubing is whenever I'm out somewhere and I need to look something up real quick and watch something real quick, like at the doctor's office or something like that, someplace where I'm bored. It just jams everything up. It's just as fast. I got a fast phone, but it just jams everything up. It messes up your cache and everything, and that's what I use to shoot most of my videos. And well, my phone's up there, ain't it? Yeah. It allows me to shoot videos, high quality digital videos, and upload them to you guys. We got some sauerkraut on the way, and I hope that this makes sense to you guys, that I'm just not rambling, but this is something that you if you're beginners, or even if you've got a YouTube channel, it's something that you need to address yourself. Okay, and now I'm not going to tell you anything wrong. I'm not. You may see things that I do that you would swear up and down was illegal, but no, it's not. I try to take care of my kitchen, keep my kitchen clean. It may be cluttered sometimes, may be cluttered all the time as far as you're concerned, but it's mine. And in probably in the next year, I'm going to rebuild my island, and it's going to be more user friendly. It's going to be more video friendly, and at the same time, whenever I get done with that, I will be doing the floors in the living room, in the kitchen, and actually the entire house. I'm gonna redo the floors, but I'm gonna put me together an outdoor kitchen, and it's gonna be more on even more of a cabin style. People call this a cabin, but it's not a cabin. This is a ranch home, and yeah, it's just got old world wood paneling, and it's ash paneling, and it's beautiful. And to make a long story short, at that time I'm gonna have my outdoor kitchen set up as a more as a video set. It's gonna be a real working kitchen, but it's gonna be designed more like a set. I'm gonna put me a great big table in there, and cabinets and fish skinning stuff, meat processing area. I'm gonna have my 1860s wood burning stove out there. Yeah, I'm gonna get me a I don't know, I may put this gas stove that I have in my kitchen now in there, and I may update my gas stove because I've been having troubles with my oven. And to keep from just having to fix it, I may end up with a new gas stove. If I get the new gas stove, it's going to come into the kitchen. My old gas stove will go out there, and I'll probably change it over to propane because I'm going to have my smoker out there. I'm going to have my barbecue pit out there. I'm going to have my outdoor cook grill that I can do large feast out there. Yeah, I'm going to do a brick barbecue, and I've got a smoker. I'm going to put that out there, and it's going to be large enough where I can smoke a whole hog if I want to. I'm going to have fish frying station, outdoor crawfish boiling place. It's going to be an entertaining area because the next 20 years of my life is going to be spent entertaining my friends and family, and and you guys too. So guys, I'm sorry I just kept going and going and going. We're at 45 minutes now. Love each and every one of you. And just remember what God told Joshua. Be strong and courageous. And lead these people. Peace.